Hello and welcome to task 68, where we will begin making a parametric pear cam. This is the first in a series of instructional videos that'll take you through creating a parametric pear cam. So first of all, what does it mean to make a parametric design? That means that we are defining parameters or variables that will be used to determine the scale of our design. This is useful because you might have another designer or a manufacturer who wants to take your design and perhaps make it on a larger scale or a smaller scale. And they should be able to create your design in this way without having to work too hard in Onshape. They might not know the ins and outs of your design, the ins and outs of engineering design or Onshape, but you're going to see that someone could pretty quickly, with just by changing a few values in a list of variables, someone could change the whole scale of your design. So we are going to look at how we can set that up as designers and kind of open up our design to become scalable, to either become larger or smaller really quickly. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at our assignment. We're going to come out with a product that looks very similar, but the dimensions are going to be defined in a different way by using variables. And the specifics are that we're going to be following steps 1 through 5 in Project Lead the Way. So I'm actually going to take you into these instructions during this video. And when you take your screenshot or snip your sketch, you want to make sure that your name is visible, the sketch 1 dimensions are visible, and the menu is visible. And the menu is this sidebar here. So now that we know all that, let's look at Project Lead the Way. We're going to be working through this set of instructions in Project Lead the Way that guide you through making a model that uses parameters or variables, a parametric model. So the first step, create a copy of your original pear cam that you created and call it Parametric Pear. So let me go ahead and find my Parametric Pear cam, or task 67. I think I'll go for this one. And we're going to use our hamburger menu, copy the workspace, and we'll call it task 68. Parametric Pear. Okay. I'm going to put it under Owned by Me, classwork. Okay. Okay, so let's go through. I wanted to, in particular, show you this Project Lead the Way chapter because I think this is a useful diagram. The first step in parametric modeling is creating variable names for each sketch entity and extrusion. So every feature, every dimension, every extrusion is going to use a variable. Figure 1 shows the entity names that you need to create variables for in the pear cam. So for example, we started with a large circle to create our pear, right? So the large circle radius, we're going to call, Project Lead the Way is calling this large radius. Since we mostly work in diameters, I'm going to call it large diameter for our project. Right here we have the whole diameter. That's going to be 1/4 of an inch. This we're going to call height. This is the distance from the center of the large circle to the center of the small circle. This is the radius of the small circle. We're going to call it small diameter. And then over here for the extrusion thickness, we're going to call that variable thickness. So I thought we should just walk through these values because we're going to create variables and this is what they apply to. So let's get started. We're going to add a new variable to the parametric pair model named large diameter. And we'll assign it a value of, we have to double this, right? Because the diameter is twice the size of the radius. So we'll call it 2.5 inches. So in OnShape, select the variable icon from the toolbar. In the variable dialog box, enter the name large diameter and the value, we're going to double it, right? 2.5. So let's go ahead. We're going to find our variable toolbar. All right, in OnShape, we're going to select the variable tool from the toolbar. That is over here. So you might find that yours is hidden. Mine was kind of hidden. And I found it in this list here. So give yourself a minute to find your variable tool if you don't see it. But once you select it, you can name your variable. We're going to call this one large diameter. And the value is going to be 2.5 inches. And then we can accept that value. So once we have our first variable defined, we're going to keep going and add the next variable for the small diameter. And that value is 1/2 inch or 0.5 inches. Great. Let's create another. This will be the height. And this should be 1 1/4 or 1.25 inches. Let me see. I think I know why this one is red. I think maybe I should have not left a space. That's better. Okay. Next, we want hole diameter. So let's click on our variable tool again. Hole. This time I'm not leaving a space between words. I'm just going to capitalize the first letter of diameter, the second word. The hole diameter is going to be 1/4 inch or 0.25. And finally, we have a variable for thickness. And that will be 0.25. All right, so now that we have our variables defined, we're going to drag them above sketch 1 like this. So they should all be located just above sketch 1. Good. And finally, we're going to edit sketch 1. So I'm right-clicking on sketch 1. And from that menu, I'm going to choose Edit. And when I look at my sketch from the front, I see all of these values, these dimensions that I had defined when I created my first ParaCam. I'm going to replace some of these values with variables. So maybe we should start with a large diameter over here. I'm going to double click on it, and instead of 0.25, I'm going to start typing the word large, and large diameter comes up. So if I click on it and I press enter, I now have this function symbol next to my diameter value here. It just indicates that now this value is based on a variable. Next, let's do the same for our small diameter. We're going to take this dimension for the small circle's diameter. We're going to take out this 0.5 value and replace it with the small diameter variable. I'm pressing enter and I get my function symbol next to the value. Next, how about the height variable? Here's the height between the center of the large circle and the center of the small circle. We can double click on the height and we're going to just type the word height. There it is. I'm going to press enter and it looks good. We also have the hole diameter. Here's the hole in our cam. We're going to start typing the word hole. And now I have defined the hole diameter according to my variable. So we have the dimensions in the sketch defined by our variables. That's lovely. We're going to accept that, and then we're going to just change the extrusion thickness. So let me right click and choose edit to edit the extrusion. The depth, rather than being a straight 0.25, is now going to be called thickness. And it happens to be 0.25 right now. Great, looks like it's all set. So if I look, this pear cam looks the same, but now we know it's defined by all of these variables. And then in the next video, we are going to play with some adjustments and relationships. So we'll be getting to that soon. But for now, when you submit, don't forget you want your name to be visible. You want to show the dimensions on sketch 1. And you want to make sure that your menu is showing because I want to see all of your lovely variables. All right, good luck with the project.